You're standing under harsh fluorescent lights. Your flight just landed. Your phone's at 8% battery. The immigration officer waves you forward with that unreadable expression. What happens next determines everything. Immigration questions aren't random, they're psychological tests. Every hesitation gets noted, every nervous laugh gets catalogued. You'll learn the 17 questions officers use to test your story in 2025, what each really tests, and how to respond without raising red flags. Let's start with the questions that can end your journey. Question 17. Can you show me your bank statements or proof of funds? The officer slides a form across the counter and taps it with their pen, and suddenly the air in the room feels thicker. This isn't a polite request anymore. It's a demand for documentation, and it means your verbal answers weren't convincing enough. When they ask for bank statements or proof of funds, you've already triggered their financial verification protocol. Picture Sarah, a 28-year-old teacher from Ohio, standing at immigration in London. She'd told them she was here for a 2-week vacation, staying in nice hotels, planning to see shows in the West End. But something about her worn sneakers, her nervous fidgeting, or maybe just the way she'd hesitated when asked about her job, made the officer doubt her financial story. Now, they want proof. Here's what's really happening. Immigration officers are trained to spot travelers who might become financial burdens on their country's social services. If you can't prove you can support yourself, you represent a risk, and risks get denied entry. The smart move? Always travel with recent bank statements, pay stubs, or other financial documents easily accessible in your carry-on. When asked, produce them like a magician pulling a rabbit from a hat. Smooth, confident, expected. Say something like, "Of course, here are my recent statements." But here's the twist. If you don't have these documents, don't panic. Explain calmly what financial resources you do have. Credit cards, traveler's checks, even a letter from your employer can sometimes work. The key is demonstrating that you planned for this possibility. Remember, this question only surfaces when they're already concerned. Your goal is to quickly address their doubts, not provide your entire financial history. Question 16. Have you ever been denied entry to any country? The officer's fingers pause over their keyboard, waiting for your response. This question feels like walking through a minefield, because any wrong step can explode your entire trip. But here's the truth. They already know the answer before they ask. Imagine David, a businessman from Toronto, standing at US immigration. 3 years ago, he was denied entry to Germany because he'd forgotten to renew his passport. It was an honest mistake, quickly resolved, but now it's sitting in his digital file like a red flag. The officer can see it, but they're asking anyway. Why? Because they want to see if David will lie about it. Immigration databases are interconnected globally. If you were denied entry to Canada, the officer in Australia can see it. If you overstayed a visa in the UK, that information follows you everywhere. This question isn't about gathering information. It's about testing your honesty. If you've never been denied entry anywhere, the answer flows like water. No, I haven't. Say it clearly, confidently, and stop talking. Don't add nervous qualifiers. But if you have been denied entry somewhere, absolute honesty becomes your lifeline. Lying here is immigration suicide because they can verify your answer instantly. Instead, acknowledge it briefly. Yes, I was denied entry to Germany in 2019 due to an expired passport. Then stop. The psychology they're testing. They're not necessarily looking to deny you based on past issues. They're looking to see if you'll lie about them. Honesty demonstrates integrity. Deception destroys credibility. Question 15. What will you do after your visit here? The officer leans back slightly, studying your face. This question tests something crucial. Your commitment to leaving their country when your visit is over. Every immigration officer's nightmare is the visitor who never goes home. Overstayers cost countries billions in social services and enforcement. So, when they ask about your plans after your visit, they're measuring your ties to your home country and your motivation to return. Picture Maria, a graphic designer from Mexico City at the US border. When asked this question, she shrugs and says, "Oh, I'll probably just go back to my normal life." That vague response just set off alarm bells because it tells the officer nothing about her actual commitments. The right answer sounds different. I'll return to my job at the marketing firm where I'm leading a project that launches in 6 weeks. Or I'm starting graduate school in September. Or my apartment lease renewal is due next month. But here's the psychology most travelers miss. They're not just listening to your words, they're watching your body language and tone. Do you sound excited about returning home? Do you mention specific dates with enthusiasm? Or do you seem reluctant to discuss future plans? If you're between jobs or have flexible circumstances, frame your answer around concrete commitments. I'm interviewing for 3 positions next month, or my family is expecting me back for my nephew's graduation. This question often determines whether you get standard entry or secondary inspection. Answer with specific, enthusiastic details about your life back home, and you'll signal that you're a temporary visitor, not a potential immigrant. Question 14. How did you meet the person you're visiting? The officer's tone shifts, becoming more conversational, but also more probing. If you mentioned visiting someone earlier, this follow-up question is inevitable. It's designed to verify the legitimacy of your relationships while assessing your risk of overstaying. Here's what they're investigating. Are you visiting a genuine friend or family member? Or is this a relationship that might encourage you to stay permanently? Online relationships, recent romantic connections, or vague acquaintanceships raise red flags. Picture James, a 32-year-old from London, visiting someone he met on a dating app 6 months ago. If he says, "We met online and have been talking every day," he's just opened a can of worms that will lead to questions about marriage discussions and long-term intentions. The key is providing clear, verifiable context without oversharing. If you met at university, say so confidently, "We were roommates at Boston University." If it's family, be specific. "She's my cousin on my mother's side." If it's business, explain briefly, "We've worked together on projects for 3 years." Avoid these landmines. Don't say you met online without additional context. Don't describe recent romantic relationships in detail. Don't mention that the person has been encouraging you to relocate. Strategic tip: if your relationship is complicated, prepare a simple explanation focusing on legitimate aspects. "We met through a professional conference and have maintained a business friendship" sounds better than "we matched on a dating app." The officer is looking for consistency between your stated purpose and actual relationships. Make sure your answer aligns with everything else you've told them. Question 13. What is your specific address where you'll be staying? The officer pulls out a pen and prepares to write. This isn't the general "where will you stay" question anymore. This is precision testing, and they want exact details they can verify. When they ask for your specific address, they're testing whether you have concrete, legitimate plans, or if you're making things up. Vague answers like "somewhere downtown" immediately signal poor planning or possible deception. Picture Lisa, a college student from California, at Canadian immigration. She'd booked an Airbnb but never memorized the address, figuring she'd use GPS later. Now the officer is waiting for specifics, and Lisa is frantically scrolling through emails while impatient travelers line up behind her. The professional response requires preparation. Know the complete address of your hotel, including street number and postal code. If staying with someone, have their full name, address, and phone number ready. If it's a rental, know the exact location and have booking confirmation accessible. Here's what many travelers don't realize. Immigration systems cross-reference your stated accommodation with your visa application and hotel bookings in real time. If your verbal answer doesn't match your paperwork, you've created a consistency problem. If you're staying with someone, be prepared to provide their complete information. The officer might call to verify. If it's a hotel, know the full name and location, not just the Marriott, but the Marriott downtown on 5th Avenue. The psychology is simple. Travelers with legitimate plans have specific details at their fingertips. People making things up give vague, uncertain answers. Show them you're organized, and they'll trust your story. Question 12. Who paid for your trip? The officer's expression becomes more serious as they ask about financing. This question cuts to the heart of immigration concerns. Are you financially independent, or are you being sponsored by someone with ulterior motives? When someone else pays for your travel, it raises questions. What's the relationship? What do they expect in return? A romantic partner funding your trip might expect you to stay permanently. A business contact covering expenses might be facilitating unauthorized work. Even family can create complications. Imagine Carlos, a recent graduate from Spain, whose wealthy uncle in Miami paid for his vacation. If Carlos mentions this casually, the officer will want to know about this uncle, their relationship, why he's being generous, and whether job opportunities are involved. If you paid yourself, say so confidently. I paid for it myself. If your employer covered business travel, that's straightforward. My company paid for this business trip. These answers suggest independence and legitimate purposes. But if someone else funded your travel, prepare for follow-ups. They'll want to know who, why, what the relationship entails, and what expectations exist. Be honest, but focused. My sister paid for my ticket as a graduation gift, or my business partner covered conference expenses. The critical psychology. Officers worry about travelers financially dependent on people in their destination country. Dependency can lead to overstaying or unauthorized work. Show them you're independent or that any sponsorship is legitimate and temporary. Never lie about who paid. Financial records can easily contradict false claims, and getting caught lying about money is one of the fastest ways to get sent home. Question 11. How much money are you carrying? The officer looks directly at you, waiting for a specific number. This isn't casual conversation. It's a legal requirement that can land you in serious trouble if you get it wrong. Know the rules like your life depends on it. In the United States, you must declare amounts over $10,000. The European Union has similar requirements. Other countries have different thresholds, and ignorance isn't a defense. Picture Robert, a businessman from Germany, carrying $12,000 cash to buy equipment in the United States. He'd heard about the $10,000 limit, but figured he was close enough. When asked, he said about $10,000, thinking he was clever. The subsequent search and questioning turned his business trip into a nightmare. If you're carrying normal amounts, state it clearly. I have about $800 in cash. If carrying larger amounts, be prepared to explain why and ensure you've completed declaration forms. Business travelers or those attending family events might legitimately carry substantial cash, but they must follow rules precisely. Here's the deeper psychology. Your cash amount should make sense with your travel plans. If you claim 2 weeks but only have $50, they'll question how you'll support yourself. If you're on vacation but carrying $15,000, they'll wonder about your real activities. The smart approach is carrying reasonable amounts that align with your stated purpose and duration. Have a mix of cash, credit cards, and other financial instruments demonstrating preparation and legitimate resources. If carrying little cash, be ready to show credit cards or other proof of financial access. The goal is demonstrating you can support yourself without becoming a burden or resorting to unauthorized employment. Question 10. Can I see your return ticket or onward travel? This is the moment of truth. The officer extends their hand, waiting for proof that your visit has an endpoint. This isn't optional documentation. It's the cornerstone of temporary visitor status. Every immigration system uses this requirement to identify potential overstayers. If you can't prove you're planning to leave, you immediately become a risk for illegal residence. The psychology is simple. People with return tickets are visitors. People without them might be immigrants in disguise. Picture Jennifer, a freelance writer from Australia, who booked a flexible ticket to Europe planning to see how things go. When asked for her return ticket, she showed a booking she had already decided to cancel. The officer's system flagged it as suspicious, too cheap, easily refundable, booked through a site known for fake reservations. Have your documentation ready instantly, whether printed ticket, mobile boarding pass, or booking confirmation. Produce it smoothly. Say something like, "Yes, here's my return flight on March 15th," or "I have an onward ticket to Singapore next Tuesday." But the ticket must be reasonable and verifiable. A refundable ticket you can't afford, a booking you plan to cancel, or arrangements that don't make sense will trigger scrutiny. Officers spot fake bookings and suspicious patterns instantly. If traveling flexibly, have some onward travel booked, even if you might change it. Immigration officers need concrete evidence of departure plans, not vague intentions. The psychology is demonstrating control and planning. Travelers who organize departure before arrival signal respect for immigration laws. Those uncertain about leaving raise red flags about true intentions. Question 9. Where will you be staying? By now, the officer has heard your basic story, but this question tests whether all pieces fit together. Your accommodation should align with your stated purpose, duration, and financial situation. Inconsistencies can unravel your entire narrative. The professional answer flows naturally. I'll be staying at the Grand Hotel on Fifth Avenue, or I'm staying with my cousin Sarah in Brooklyn. Avoid vague responses like somewhere downtown or I haven't decided. These suggest poor planning or deception. Here's the hidden complexity. Immigration systems increasingly cross-reference verbal answers with digital records in real time. Your hotel booking, visa application, and arrival card should tell the same story. If you said Hilton but booked Marriott, you've created a credibility problem. Picture Michael, a software developer from Canada, who booked a budget hostel but told immigration he was staying at a luxury hotel because he thought it sounded impressive. When they cross-checked, the inconsistency triggered questions about his finances, purpose, and truthfulness. If staying with someone, provide their full name, relationship, and contact information they might verify. If staying in a hotel, know the complete name and location, not just a general area. The psychology measures preparation and honesty. Legitimate travelers have specific plans and discuss them confidently. People with hidden agendas or poor preparation give uncertain, inconsistent answers that invite investigation. Question 8. Do you have anything to declare? The officer's tone becomes formal as you transition to customs. This represents a critical shift, because here, mistakes aren't just embarrassing. They're potentially criminal. Customs violations can result in fines, confiscation, arrest, and permanent travel restrictions. The psychology is different too. While immigration officers assess intentions, customs officers enforce legal requirements with zero tolerance. Picture Anna, a teacher from Sweden, bringing homemade cookies for American friends. She thought food gifts were harmless and didn't declare them. When customs found the cookies during a search, what seemed thoughtful became a violation, resulting in fines and a permanent note in her file. If you have nothing to declare, say so clearly. No, I don't have anything to declare. But make sure you understand what requires declaration. Electronics over certain values, large cash amounts, prescription medications, food items, and gifts can all trigger requirements. The critical mistake is assuming nothing to declare means nothing I think is important. Customs regulations are specific and often counterintuitive. That prescription medication might need declaration. Those electronics might exceed duty-free limits. Even innocent items like foods or plants can be prohibited. Research customs regulations before traveling. Know what you're carrying and whether it requires declaration. When in doubt, declare it. Officers appreciate honesty and often waive duties on properly declared items. They never forgive undeclared items found during searches. The psychology is straightforward. Honesty demonstrates respect for law and reduces risk. Deception marks you as untrustworthy. Question 7. Have you ever been here before? The officer asks this neutrally, but don't be fooled. This is a sophisticated background check disguised as conversation. And they already know your travel history better than you remember it. Immigration databases track every entry, exit, visa application, and border interaction. If you visited 5 years ago, they see it. If you overstayed previously, it's flagged. If you were denied entry elsewhere, that information is shared internationally. Picture David, a businessman from Japan, who visited the United States briefly 10 years ago, but forgot about a short layover that counted as entry. When he said it was his first time, the officer's screen showed otherwise, and David found himself explaining a discrepancy he didn't know existed. For first-time visitors, answer simply, "No, this is my first time here." Say it clearly and stop. Don't add nervous elaborations. If you've been there before, provide clear time frames. Yes, I visited 2 years ago for business, or I was here last summer on vacation. Don't launch into detailed stories unless asked. The psychology they're testing. Consistency between your memory and their records, plus your comfort level with the question. If you hesitate or seem uncertain about dates, they'll wonder what you're hiding. Returning visitors who previously overstayed or had problems are automatically flagged. If you have complicated history, prepare a brief, honest explanation that acknowledges past issues without dwelling on them. Question 6. Do you have any family here? The officer leans forward slightly, and you sense this carries extra weight. They're measuring your ties to the country and assessing overstay risk. Family connections are double-edged. They provide legitimate visiting reasons, but also create permanent residence incentives. The officer must determine whether your family ties support temporary visits or suggest hidden immigration intentions. Picture Maria, a nurse from the Philippines, whose sister recently became a U.S. citizen and has been encouraging permanent relocation. When asked about family, Maria mentions her sister, but doesn't reveal ongoing immigration discussions. The officer senses there's more to the story. If you have no family there, keep it simple. No, I don't have any family here. Don't add unnecessary explanations. If you do have family, be honest but strategic. Yes, my cousin lives here, or my sister works in the city. Avoid discussing family members encouraging immigration with complicated status, or offering work help. The subtle psychology. Officers detect changes in tone, body language, or comfort when discussing family. If you seem nervous or overly detailed about connections, they'll probe deeper. The key is demonstrating that while you may have meaningful family ties, your visit is temporary and you have stronger ties home, ensuring your return. Question 5. Are you traveling alone? The officer asks while glancing at their screen. They already know whether someone shares your booking or travel documents. This tests honesty and consistency. Immigration systems track travel companions automatically. If you book together, checked in simultaneously, or share documentation, they see those connections instantly. They're not seeking information. They're verifying you'll tell the truth. Picture Tom and Lisa, a German couple trying to appear as independent tourists to avoid relationship questions. When Tom says he's alone while Lisa stands 3 people behind him, the officer's system shows they're connected, creating credibility problems for both. If traveling solo, say so confidently, "Yes, I'm traveling alone," then stop. Don't explain why or justify solo travel. It's completely normal. If traveling with someone, keep it factual. "I'm traveling with my husband," or "My friend and I are together." Don't provide names or backstories unless asked. The psychology. Nervous travelers over-explain simple questions, while confident ones answer directly. The more you elaborate on basic facts, the less credible you appear. Be aware that if traveling with someone, they might be interviewed separately. Your answers must be consistent, so keep responses simple and factual to avoid contradictions. Question 4. What do you do for work? The officer settles back, preparing to evaluate a revealing aspect of your profile. Your occupation tells a story about stability, financial resources, and reasons to return home. It's sophisticated risk assessment. Employment signals critical things officers care about: legitimate income to support travel, professional obligations requiring return, established home country roots, and reduced likelihood of seeking unauthorized employment. Picture Sarah, a struggling freelance designer, embarrassed about her employment situation. When asked about work, she hesitates and gives vague answers about doing design work. That hesitation raises questions about financial stability and true travel reasons. Answer clearly and professionally. "I'm a software engineer," "I work in marketing," or "I'm a retired teacher." Avoid vague descriptions or complex job explanations. They want your occupation, not your career history. If between jobs, frame it positively. "I recently finished an accounting position and I'm taking a brief vacation before starting my next role in September." This shows professional career management, not desperate job seeking. Students should be direct. "I'm a university student studying biology." Retirees can simply say, "I'm retired from education." The key is projecting stabilities and legitimate reasons for both traveling and returning. The critical psychology. Officers correlate stated occupation with travel plans, accommodation, and financial resources. Everything should align logically. A minimum wage worker in luxury hotels raises questions. A business executive without return tickets seems suspicious. Question 3. What's the purpose of your visit? This question can make or break your immigration experience. The officer matches your answer against visa type, travel history, and risk profile. Get this wrong, and you'll find yourself in secondary inspection. Stick to 3 safe categories: tourism, business, or education. These are well understood, easily verified, and align with temporary visitor visas. Wandering outside these without clear justification changes the interview tone from routine to suspicious. For tourism, be specific but concise. I'm here for vacation, or I'm visiting museums and attractions. For business, mention specific purposes. I'm attending a technology conference, or I have client meetings. For education, be clear. I'm taking a 2-week English course. Picture Alex, a recent graduate, saying he's exploring opportunities. Those words trigger every alarm because exploring opportunities sounds like job hunting, violating tourist visa terms. Avoid problematic answers. Visiting friends without context sounds like potential overstaying. Exploring opportunities suggests job hunting. Seeing what it's like implies immigration intentions. Meeting people raises activity questions. Most travelers don't realize officers often know your purpose before you speak. Your visa application, flight patterns, hotel reservations, and travel history create a digital profile they're comparing against your verbal answers. The psychology is mathematical. Consistency builds trust. Contradictions trigger suspicion. If your words align with documentation and digital footprint, you'll move through quickly. If they don't match, you'll face detailed questions about real intentions. Question 2. How long do you intend to stay? The officer looks up, waiting for a specific answer that determines your processing level. This isn't casual conversation. It's critical assessment of whether your stated duration aligns with visa, purpose, and return arrangements. Your answer must be precise, confident, and consistent like puzzle pieces. Vague responses like "a couple of weeks" immediately signal uncertainty or deception. Professional travelers give exact time frames: 10 days, 2 weeks exactly, or until March 15th. Picture Jennifer, a marketing manager, saying she's staying about 2 weeks, maybe longer, depending on how things go. That phrase, "depending on how things go," raises red flags because it suggests departure isn't planned. It's conditional on circumstances encouraging overstay. But here's deeper psychology. They're measuring confidence like a human lie detector. Hesitation, uncertainty, or nervous elaboration suggests you haven't planned departure or might be hiding true intentions. The answer should align perfectly with return ticket, visa validity, and stated purpose. If you say 2 weeks but your return ticket is 6 months away, you've created a major credibility problem. If your visa allows 6 months but you claim 3 days, they'll wonder why you need long-term authorization for short visits. Know your exact departure date and state it confidently. Have your return ticket ready. Make sure stated duration makes logical sense with your purpose. Business trips are shorter, vacations longer, educational programs have specific time frames. The psychology tests your commitment to leaving on schedule. Countries want visitors respecting immigration laws and departure dates. Show them you've planned your exit as carefully as your entry. Question 1. May I see your passport? This is where everything begins. The officer extends their hand, and your entire immigration experience launches like dominoes, falling in predetermined patterns. How you handle this simple request sends immediate signals about what kind of traveler you are. Fumbling through your bag, apologizing for delays, or seeming surprised by this predictable request suggests poor preparations and possible nervousness. Picture Mark, a first-time international traveler who buried his passport under clothes and electronics. When asked, he spends 2 minutes unpacking while impatient travelers line up behind him, and the officer's expression grows skeptical. The professional response flows like water, smooth, confident, immediate. Have your passport easily accessible, not buried in backpacks, not stuffed in jacket pockets, not mixed with other documents. When asked, produce it immediately while making appropriate eye contact and saying something simple like, "Here it is." Your passport should be pristine, with clear photos and readable information. Damaged passports, even slightly torn pages or water stains, can trigger additional scrutiny or entry denial. The document represents your identity and citizenship. Treat it accordingly. But here's the psychological element most travelers miss. Immigration officers are trained to read micro-expressions, body language, and stress indicators from the moment you approach their station. Your composure during this first interaction sets the tone for everything following. Confidence signals legitimacy and suggests nothing to hide. Nervousness suggests potential problems. Preparation demonstrates respect for the process. Disorganization implies complications requiring investigation. In those first 30 seconds, you're establishing whether you're a low-risk traveler, deserving quick processing, or a potential problem requiring additional attention. The hidden truth about immigration. Success. After walking through all 17 questions, here's the secret separating smooth travelers from those stuck in secondary inspection. Immigration isn't about perfect answers you give. It's about the energy you project and your story's consistency. From the moment you approach that counter, officers read one fundamental question. Are you in control of your situation and confident about your story? Or are you uncertain about something requiring investigation? Every hesitation, nervous laugh, and rambling explanation signals something doesn't add up. But calm confidence, that's your real passport, more valuable than any document. When you know your story completely, have documents organized professionally, and can discuss travel plans with steady assurance, you signal that you're exactly what you claim, a legitimate temporary visitor with clear intentions and concrete return plans. The 17 questions aren't designed to trick you. They're assessment tools with predictable patterns you can master with preparation. Once you understand what each question really tests, you can respond with professional confidence that gets you through immigration quickly and smoothly every time. Remember, preparation beats improvisation, honesty trumps cleverness, and confidence opens more doors than any perfect answer ever could. Master these principles, and you'll navigate immigration like the seasoned traveler you're about to become. Safe travels, and remember, confidence is your clearance, and your story is your passport to the world.